Yay! So now, with not long to wait until the release of Episode 7, The Force Awakens, now it is finally time to go into the original Star Wars trilogy. So, without further ado, we are now going into proper Star Wars territory. We are going to be taking a look at A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Easily the three best Star Wars films to come out to date. Here we are with Episode 4, first of all. First released in 1977, of course, and subsequently re-released in 97, and a few special editions have been made on DVD. This is the 2004 version that came out in the Star Wars trilogy DVD box set you just seen before you. Didn't bother getting the Blu-ray one because, well, George Lucas messed around too much, so I've just stuck with this 2004 edition. So, there we go, Episode 4. The plot goes, the Jedi Knights have been exterminated. Nice word, whoever heard that before? And the Empire rules the galaxy with an iron fist. A small group of rebels have dared to fight back by stealing the secret plans to the Empire's mightiest weapon, the Death Star battle station. The Emperor's most trusted servant, Darth Vader, must find the plans and locate the hidden rebel base. Princess Leia, a captive rebel leader, sends out a distress signal that is intercepted by a simple farm boy, Luke Skywalker. Seizing his destiny, Luke takes up the challenge to rescue the princess and help the rebellion overthrow the Empire, along with such unforgettable aliens and as the wise Obi-Wan Kenobi, the cocky Han Solo, the loyal Chewbacca, and the droids R2, D2 and C-3PO. And this film is approximately 2 hours long. So it's a good 2 hour long film. It's a classic. Come on, if you've not seen Star Wars, the first one, this is the first true Star Wars film to come out, chronologically, you've not lived. Come on. Star Wars. If you've never seen Star Wars, what the hell have you been doing all your life? Oh, I know. You're all stuck on Tumblr and all of that. Well, I've not got time for that. As I said near the beginning of this video, 4, 5 and 6 are my favourite Star Wars films. I will tell you towards the end of my reviews what is my favourite one out of them all, although it is a little bit predictable, as it is the same as many other Star Wars fans out there. And I think that Episode 4, A New Hope, or as it was originally called, just Star Wars, I think that A New Hope, it's just one of the best films ever made. It's one of the most groundbreaking films ever made. Even from the opening crawl shot, when we see it for the first time, when we hear the theme tune for the first time, and when you see that ship getting it gets chased by the Imperial Star Destroyer. It's one of the most classic opening shots that you'd ever see in any movie ever, and I think this gets remembered more than its sequels, I think. which is quite rightly so. It's a bit like The Godfather. The Godfather trilogy, you've got the three films. The most famous of them all is the first one. But in my opinion, I don't know if I've said this before, but number 2 is better than the first. And the same goes for Star Wars. I think this is the most famous of them all, primarily due to it being the first one. It was groundbreaking. No one ever saw anything like this at a cinema ever before when this was first released in 1977. It was groundbreaking. We got introduced to all these new characters, this religion, the Force. What's this all about? Jedis, rebels, the dark side. It was something completely new. I mean, nowadays, a lot of people know all about it because Star Wars is a mainstream thing, and it's even more so now with more films coming out. So, just imagine for a second if you was in 1977 and you saw this for the first time. How would you have felt about it? Would you have liked it? Would you have been blown away by what you've just seen? Because I tell you, if I was in 1977 and I saw this film for the first time, I was introduced to all these characters like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Obi-Wan, R2-D2, C-3PO, and this villain known as Darth Vader, and all these stormtroopers. I would have been absolutely amazed. I would. Because it's a lot of films nowadays, particularly sci-fi films, they all see Star Wars as an example or an inspiration. Take Peter Jackson, the director of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films. He was hugely inspired by Star Wars. Star Wars gave him the vision to make films when he grew up. And likewise, Steven Spielberg has a huge admiration for Star Wars, even though he is a close friend of George Lucas, the writer and the director of this film, and the writer for the first 6 films. Spielberg was a filmmaker before, but when this came out, it totally changed cinema history forever, in my opinion. That's how I see it. I think the 1970s as a decade for films, I think it was a bloody good one, in my opinion. The 70s was fantastic. Some great films came out in that decade. Some films that hold up considerably well today. And I think Star Wars is one of them. Star Wars holds up well. It's 38 years old, and it just still works. It's still relevant today. Well, it has to be relevant. They're making more films, for God's sake. It's just so iconic. So for me, A New Hope, it's a very important film. And, of course, it's one of the best in the franchise, because without this, we wouldn't have got The Empire Strikes Back. We wouldn't have got Return of the Jedi. We wouldn't have got the prequel trilogy or the endless amount of expanded universe novels, even though they're technically not canon in that anymore, according to Disney. We wouldn't be getting this Force Awakens. We wouldn't have got the Clone Wars. We wouldn't have got Star Wars Rebels. This is where it all started. So we have to thank this film, and we have to thank George Lucas, because even though he messed up further down the line with releasing all these special editions and all this crap, releasing the prequel trilogy. At the end of the day, he was the man with the vision. He was the man who wrote this sci-fi drama. He was the one responsible for the creation of Star Wars. Without him, we wouldn't have had Star Wars. So in my opinion, A New Hope is one of the most important films of all time. And for me, it is essential to any movie fan. I'm not asking you to watch all the Star Wars films, but if you've never seen Star Wars, in all seriousness, I would go to see Episode 4, A New Hope, and see what you think of it. If you don't like it, fair enough. If it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. Sometimes it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it really is my cup of tea. And therefore, if I had to give this a score, then I give this a 10. I would. I think that the characters, they've got some of the best characters of all time. Everyone in this just does a fantastic job. We've even got a supporting performance from established actors such as Sir Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, who plays Grand Moff Tarkin, the leader of the rebels. Not the rebels, sorry. The leader on the Death Star. The leader of the rebels are Princess Leia and Mon Mothma and all those characters. So I think, yeah, this is a vital film for anyone to watch, and I think it's well worth the 2 hours. And I really do think it's aged well. All the mythology that came out of this film, that spawned all these sequels and prequels and spin-offs and all sorts of things, it all comes from this. As I said, the plot of this film is, of course, Princess Leia is captured by the Empire. The Empire wants the Death Star plans because they got taken by some rebels, sacrificed themselves. So the rebels have the Death Star plans. So the Empire find out. They get pissed off about it all, and they want to get them back. Because, if they didn't get them back, then they would pretty much be Donald Ducked, wouldn't they? Oh, and by the way, they don't get them back. So the Death Star is this powerful space station that it destroys planets and everything. Destroys a planet Alderaan. It can do some serious damage. So I think the Death Star, great idea. One of the most iconic sci-fi images. Darth Vader makes his first appearance, of course. One of the most iconic villains ever in any film, if not the most iconic. It's definitely the most iconic sci-fi villain, anyway, in terms of films. And he's voiced by James Earl Jones, and he is physically portrayed by Dave Prowse. And I think that Darth Vader, what he's given to do in this, he's got iconic lines. There's loads of iconic lines in this film, just like Back to the Future. There's absolutely loads of quotes. One particular favourite of mine, and this may be an odd choice, is the scene inside the Mos Eisley Cantina bar when there's that random guy and his face is all like that, and he's like, "He doesn't like you." R2-D2 and C-3PO go from an escape pod, And they land on this planet, and of all places, where could it be? Of course, it is Tatooine, the desert planet, full of sand. And Darth Vader didn't go there because, as the character apparently said in Attack of the Clones, I don't like sand. George Lucas. But on Tatooine, the droids come across Luke Skywalker, a farm boy, minding his own business. He's been raised by his uncle and aunt. He doesn't know who his father is. They all meet up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. They all get together, and they go to this bar because his aunt and uncle get killed. Luke finds out that his father was once a Jedi Knight in the Clone Wars. He was a close friend of Obi-Wan. Of course, at the time when this came out, nobody knew about, his father. But anyway, they go to Mos Eisley, Canada. They meet up with this smuggler known as Han Solo and his trusty sidekick Chewbacca. Han Solo is, of course, played wonderfully by Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is one of the best actors of all time, hands down. And Mark Hamill is very young in this film. I think that Luke Skywalker, I can't imagine anyone else playing Luke Skywalker. I can't imagine anyone else playing any of the characters, in my opinion. I think that Harrison Ford, he completely gets the character, and he wasn't even first choice for the role. Actors such as Kurt Russell auditioned for the role of Han Solo, but in the end Harrison Ford got it, and quite rightly so. He owns the role. Mark Hamill owns the role as Luke Skywalker. Anthony Daniels, he owns the role as C-3PO. He didn't even want to be in the film at first, but then he saw that picture of the robot and it grabbed him. Something reached out to him and he knew that he had to be in this role. No one else could play C-3PO. It's just so iconic. No one else can play Princess Leia. Only Carrie Fisher can be Princess Leia. Only Peter Cushing could be Grand Moff Tarkin. And in the original trilogy, I think it was a masterstroke by George Lucas, because bearing in mind, when this came out, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, they weren't really household names. After this came out, of course, they were. They still are today, because of this film. But George Lucas, he wanted established actors, so he got in Peter Cushing, and he got Sir Alec Guinness. Sir Alec Guinness is one of the best actors of all time, and he plays Obi-Wan perfectly. He really does. And I said it before, I'll say it again, even though he only appears as Obi-Wan in the original trilogy, and the role got taken over by Ewan McGregor in the prequel trilogy, and bearing in mind, in my opinion, Ewan McGregor, he does a great job in the prequel trilogy portraying Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alec Guinness is the definitive Obi-Wan Kenobi, because it's just Alec Guinness, and if it wasn't for Alec Guinness's performance, then we wouldn't have had Ewan McGregor's performance. So there we go. Again, I feel that a lot of all of its successes owe to this film, because this film, it just defined everything what all this saga is all about. And for me, Obi-Wan, played by Alec Guinness, it's just perfect casting. No one else could have played him at the time. And to get Alec Guinness on board, someone already recognised by the public eye for his performances in films such as The Bridge Over the River Kwai or Lady Killers. You know, I don't think we could have gone wrong here, and I think Alec Guinness just nails the performance. Even though he had no idea what the hell was going on half the time, he didn't understand the script, but he did it. So, well done to you, Alec Guinness. Respect. Best scenes are the scenes on the Death Star, the rescue of Princess Leia, because they find out about Leia through a message coming from R2-D2. So, Han, Luke, Obi-Wan, Chewie, R2 and C-3PO, they all go to the Death Star. Well, they don't intentionally go. They intend to go to Alderaan, but then Obi-Wan senses in the Force that Alderaan has been destroyed. And then, because Luke has come along, he wants to train Luke to be a Jedi, just like his father before him. So, he does that, and in this, Luke is very inexperienced with the lightsaber. And of course, how can I not mention the lightsaber? This is the first time we saw the lightsaber for the first time. It was the first time we saw it. The blue lightsaber. And, wow. Again, it's iconic. And at the Death Star, when they get there, all the scenes on the Death Star is great. They rescue Leia. They end up in that garbage dispenser place where the walls are coming in. It's just, it's all classic. And it's been done so many times in spoofs like Family Guy and things like that. Robot Chicken. It's just so iconic. And yeah, even the scene between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan confronting each other again. It's iconic. Yeah, the choreography isn't as good as, say, the prequel trilogy, but still, they fight each other. It's fine. It's a decent fight. Obi-Wan ends up getting killed. Everyone escapes from the Death Star after Obi-Wan deactivated the tractor beam. They go away. They go to the Rebel base on Yavin. And then, excuse me. They go to the Death Star. You know, the final battle. X-Wings, dogfight, Death Star. Classic. Death Star, boom. After that, ceremony at the end of the film. Classic. The music is beautiful by John Williams. The music in the original trilogy is better than the music than the prequel trilogy as well. Everything about the original trilogy is better. I know I sound like one of those fanboys who hates the prequels, but I don't hate the prequels. There's some good things in the prequels that are done better, such as the visual effects, even though there's too many of them. And the choreography of the lightsaber battles are better. And it just looks visually better than the original trilogy. I'll give it that. But apart from everything else, they're not as good. Although I do like Revenge of the Sith, I will say that. But I don't like the other two prequels. With the end ceremony, Luke and Han get rewarded medals. Why doesn't Chewbacca get rewarded a medal? Surely he deserved a medal for all of the efforts that he made in this film. Is there racial tensions towards Wookiees in the Star Wars universe? I don't know. But anyhow, that's the end of the film. I think that it is a great film. Defines everything for Star Wars, in my opinion. And once you watch this film, once I watched it, I was hooked. I wanted to watch more of it, and I saw this for the first time when I was 6, so 14 years ago. And I think that I don't regret a single day since watching that film, and watching that film ever since. I don't regret seeing it, because I think that everything about it is great. And I'm happy to say that I'm a fan of Star Wars, and we all owe it to this film. It's one of the most iconic films of all time. 10 out of 10. So that is my review of Star Wars A New Hope. I've not inserted any extra video clips in this to take the piss, because this is a serious review. Unlike the prequels, which sometimes can be seen as a laughingstock, there's nothing to laugh about with this film. That is, of course, if you watch the special editions. But I will talk about that in a future video. Don't forget to click the link below to subscribe to me, James Croft, aka the Obsessivian 95. Have a great day.